Now, did you not think that climbing up the ladders and the scaffolding and the roofs would give you some muscles as well at the time?
Well, I thought that, yeah. But I mean, I was doing it for ages and I never got any muscles. My legs would shake going up that ladder. And it was horrible because I'd regularly fall. When you re-roof a house, you put it was felt, it was called.
Felt, yeah.
And it's so soft to rip. So I just constantly fall through it. And I knew at a young age, I thought, I'm going to end up seriously hurting myself. And I was really accident prone. I was up there. I was like Mr. Bean. And my dad's saying, you're not cut out for this. And I'm like, no, I know I'm not, Dad. Please, I don't want to be here. It was horrible.
Was it hard for you to... Was it hard for you to make that decision not to work with your dad?
No, not at all. I didn't want to be poor. All my mum and dad argued for a lot of that. They had a tough. They had kids young, and they had no church family. They'd moved away from their own family because their parents didn't agree on them being together, and all of these problems. And they were always arguing and crying, and it seemed to me that it was because of lack of money.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, I don't want this life. And if this is what roofing brings, or this is what hard work, this was his ethic of hard work, work sets you free. It's like, it doesn't. This is a horrible life. So no interest at all. None at all.
Excellent. So you were determined, you built yourself up and you got the position as a gladiator. How did you feel when you first found out?
Oh, it was a surreal feeling. It was like, I literally had to pinch myself. I was like, what, all my troubles? Because at that point, I mean, when you hear a lottery winner that says, I won 10 million, but it didn't make me happy, you think, no, that's a lie. You're just saying that. Surely 10 million will make you happy. For me, getting Gladiators was bigger than winning the lottery because it didn't just bring the money. It brought the prestige. It brought the women. It brought the fame. There's a lot of rich people out there that are not famous that want to be. I got it all at once. They say money's no good unless you're spending it, unless people are seeing it, all your wealth. Yeah. But I had all of this at once. So I was like, in a way, it was sort of surreal, George, because I was like, well, I've been brought up to believe there's no God. And yet my life is immensely blessed. So God was obviously, was on my case because I was like, why? I remember laying in Mauritius at the Gladiator training camp on the beach on a clear night and just seeing the stars and, and laying there thinking, wow, I'm laid in Mauritius and it's costing me nothing and everything is free. And my life's about, I knew I had the world at my feet. And I was like, why me? Bit like as I'm looking at you now with that big earth behind you and shake, just it was that sort of moment. I was looking up thinking, why me? I can see there's more going on, but why me? Why have you given me this platform? I just, so I was asking the questions, I suppose, even at that point.
You said earlier that Schwarzenegger was the best paid film star in the world at the time.
Yes.
Were you the best paid gladiator?
Well, we all got the same, but
right.
I mean, our best earner was personal appearances. They used to pay us £2,000 an hour for those.
Wow.
And this was back in the 90s, it was ridiculous, so I'd never seen that amount of money. So as soon as it was in my hand, it was burning a hole in my pocket, I'm like, right, what do I do with it?
I was going to ask you, did you have any financial nous at all to what to do with this money?
No, sadly. Because, and I was scared of money actually, because I was like, oh, this comes with responsibility, I can tell. And, then you got to get this and you got to get an accountant. And I was so used to having no money. I was scared of not having money again.
Right.
It was a funny place to be in. So when it was in my hands, I was like, no, I deserve to spend it. So I'd go and waste it, and people would say to me, no, don't go and buy a car. It will plummet in money. It will plummet in value. It's a depreciating asset. Warren, you need to buy appreciating assets. So I learned the hard way, unfortunately, George. I wasted a lot of money. But it's like with that. So if I was only in there for a year or two, I wouldn't have made anything. But it's like without it, I did get it out of my system, And I sometimes get angry with people that say, oh, someone's not got any money or they're not doing very well. And then they waste a bit of money. And then people moan and look down their nose at them, go, oh, look at them wasting that money. And I'm like, hang on a minute. If they've had no money and they've got some money in their hands, let them spend it and enjoy it. Do you know what I mean? Because it's horrible to have no money. It's not a nice place to be. And you get fed up in that place all of the time. You just think, at last, I feel like I'm worthy of being able to buy what I want and eat some nice things like everyone else seems to be.
It's the only thing you can do with money is spend it, actually. So, yeah.
Well, money is called currency for a reason. It does make things flow. And some people say, oh, it's the root of all evil. Actually, it's not. It's the love of money.
Yeah.
It's the love of money that causes us the damage.
Now, you told us that lovely story as well when you first got paid and you bought yourself a nice BMW. Did you ever get the BMW back? When that was towed away.
Actually, it cost me a few grand. And you know, the saddest bit about it is if I'd have signed unemployed or received some national insurance, I wouldn't have had to owe that. But because I hadn't filled in paper, I mean, I was depressed at the time. I didn't know what was going on. I just know that there was no real prospects for me, you know. But you know, you get a national insurance number and a birth certificate, and suddenly they're on you, aren't they? They're taxing you. So when they took away my car, I was like, no way, that's the first nice thing I've got. I never had it off me. So yeah, I was an angry young man at that point.
Now, you became famous, so tell us a little bit, what was fame like for you? Was it like I say, shackles on your life or something like that? Or did it, you know, shackle you in any way?
It was, George, as I said, it was like that. It was a double-edged sword. Okay. So in a lot of respects, it was great fun. It was nice, you know, and the commercial aspects of being able to hustle things for free. Remember, they gave me a free car at one point, only on loan, but because, you know, all the manufacturers want you to wear their clothes, you to drive their cars, you to be seen because you're seen as a success in worldly terms.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of people don't get this. They think that the celebrities are really paparazzi and putting them paper, but I learned that it was all nonsense. Actually, we're all in on it. We know there's a geezer in the bushes with a big lens and a camera, unless you're royalty, you know, or you are, you know, someone who has a super talent. You're celebrated because you have a super talent, rightly so. But in reality TV, you know, it's the fame game that you're playing.
Yeah. Was there ever a time that you were caught doing something you weren't supposed to do then as a famous gladiator?
Yeah. I mean, I say the fame corrupted me. You know, I thought that morally I was a good person, but it's a bit like, you know, we read in the Bible, didn't we, when Jesus was tempted, the devil said to him, "Just follow me. I have been given authority in this world. I'll give you all this if you follow me." And essentially, George, that's what I was doing. You know, I was like, oh yeah, I have to tell lies to news of the world to pay the mortgage this month, then that's what I'll do. Why not? You know, I'm celebrated and they're going to give me the money and they're this big newspaper and everyone's buying it. Why not? But I didn't realize, you know, you're either part of the problem or the solution. You know, and I'm contributing to that market of debauchery and salacious nonsense, really, and people are wasting their money on it. Rightly so. The paper went down the toilet in the end, didn't it? But it was a massive paper back then. You know, it
was indeed, yes.
Yeah.
So what was it like being famous for you? I mean, rubbing shoulders with other people that, you know, you probably seen on TV or seen in the papers. What was that like for you?
Now that was incredible because you know, initially I was like, whoa, and it's almost like they had magic dust on them, like fairy dust. I'm like, whoa, and it's called social proofing, I'm told. So if you know someone famous, it opens up a lot more opportunities for you because you can say, oh, I know George Collins, I've met him, and he's the guy off the internet. And people go, oh, you know him, and you just feel it gives you this, you know, oh, now all of a sudden I'm a more important person. I'm proving myself, you know, I'm being someone. But what I did notice, George, was a lot of the people that I really looked up to. I won't say now the names, but there were some big Saturday night television names. I was at London Weekend Television. That's who Gladiators. And a lot of the stars, I could see the fame had corrupted them. They had this persona that they were happily married with kids and great and family and blah, blah, blah. But a lot of them were sexual deviants, perverts, drug addicts, you know, and it all came out in the end. Yeah. But I was like, how do they get from there to there? You know, and of course I was on the same road.
No.
They say, have you heard the saying, you spot it, you've got it?
I see. I was going to ask you, who was the best of the gladiators?
For me, I mean, there was lots of people at different skill levels. I mean, I think Hunter took the show very seriously. It was his all and it was his everything, and consequently that paid off because he put in the effort, so he became a very good gladiator. But my favorite all-round gladiator was Saracen.
Yeah,
so Saracen was like this big 6'4" fireman from Lewisham in London.
I remember him well.
Oh, he had it all. I mean, this guy, not only the athletic ability, but he was humble.
Right.
He was fair. You know, a lot of us were just competing because we wanted to be the best and we wanted to stay on that show. But this guy recognized that platform was about more than him.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed that he was always bigging others up, always give me the great, some gladiators would give me terrible advice because they're in competition with me, but he would always come over and help me, put an arm around me. And he would put himself, put you before himself always, and if something was dangerous on set, he'd be the first one putting his neck on the line.
Wow.
I mean, I keep asking myself, is he a Christian? I don't think he is, but I think he must be nearly. Or if he is, he's a covert Christian. I'm not sure. I haven't asked him. But he's just so full of love, so full of gratitude, so humble. Great man.
It looked great on TV, but how dangerous was it actually? Like you mentioned there's some dangerous things that he did.
Yeah. So we had broken necks on the show, broken backs on the show. You put everything into it. People saw that it was all padded and stuff, and there was full arrest to arrest your falls and stuff, full arrest. But inevitably, you're in a fight situation. People are fighting you because they want to be famous, they want to win money, and you're standing in their way. And if you don't beat them, if you didn't get 70% wins as a gladiator, you were risking not getting your contract renewed. So it was everything was on the line when you was up there on a dual platform on a Saturday night. You were like, you did not want to be beaten. Also, if you did get beaten, it's a bit like a footballer not scoring goals. The pressure's then on the next game. You don't want that. You want to make sure that you're staying ahead of keeping that ratio of wins well up there in the 70, 80%. And we worked that out. If you didn't get 70% wins, you were pretty much out the next year because they needed you to be a gladiator. They needed you to beat the people they were putting you against.
What was your favorite part of what battle that you liked the best to do? Or did you win the most, shall we say?
Yeah, so for me, I was like an all-round gladiator, if you like. Some people had special events, but I wasn't in the show from the beginning, so I never really got that comfortable with everything. So they just tended to, because they could trust me on stuff, they put me on most games. But I was quite astute in that I started to see people get seriously hurt, and I thought, when this show ends, which it will, I don't want to come out of it in a wheelchair, So I started to choose the games which weren't as dangerous as the others. I mean, some were up at 50 foot in the air, upside down, and and all sorts were going on. But the high impact, full contact games were the ones where we got most hurt. So I started to fall in love with games like the pendulum, which was a giant ball that swung 40 foot in the air, and you had to chase a contestant. I loved hang tough, although that looked hard. You're swinging, you're grabbing these hoops, and you have to just catch the person. You had a great advantage as a gladiator as well. So these were pretty much, you knew you were going to win them. The wall was always fun. The lower impact, the more visual games I liked. And that's what I like about the new series, actually. They have some great new fun games on there. I'm going to watch it with my daughter, actually, soon.
Excellent. Now, do you have any contact with any of the old guys that you worked with as gladiators?
Yes, yeah, I do speak to Hunter's one of my neighbours, James. And actually, you know what it's like with social media? It's as a way of just connecting everybody, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But we tend to come together more at like reunions when people want to know what are the gladiators doing now. There's talk of a documentary and stuff. There has been for a while. But I'll be honest, I have found that when we come back together, we all went back to National Indoor Arena where it was filmed. It's one channel got us all back together for like a reunion. And we all came away and we'd sent each other texts, and we all said, and we'd changed numbers, so we'd swapped numbers and afresh there. And I was all quite honest, said I feel a little bit depressed. Anyone else feel a bit low after that? And pretty much everyone did. And I think that almost was a line in the sand there. They say sometimes the past is best left in the past. It was a bit like we'd all got a bit old, and there were such high times that to sort of try and relive them or just go on about them and stuff, we had a lot of history together and stuff. And it's a bit like, no, I think what's in the past needs to be left in the past. So, there's a lot of great camaraderie. And, I like it when we do get to go and do something and we sit down and we'll have a glass of wine after and maybe go out for a meal. That's lovely.
Yeah.
But we're all from different parts of the country and stuff. So it's not like, we travel meet each other. So I'm sure some of them do, but I've found that the Lord has me all over the place these days. And he's prioritized the gospel, and he's like, Warren, you need to go out there and you need to share what I've done in your life with other people. That's my primary thing that I do.
No, you made it fame and fortune. You run the TV. How did your mom and dad react in the family?
Mixed reactions. They were all happy for me, of course.
Yeah.
And I remember my dad saying, it's great that you're a gladiator, son. Well done. He said, I was wrong. You were right. He said, you followed your heart and you got what you
that was
wanted.
nice, isn't it?
It was really humble of him, but actually,
Yeah.
and I was really smug and conceited at the time. I went, yeah, I told you I would, Dad. I knew I would. You know, I'm the ace, you know. But I really regret that because he's passed now. And the reality is, actually, he was right and I was wrong because he wasn't morally corrupt. Do you know what I mean? He weren't selling himself down the road. You know, he was putting roofs on people's houses and he was working hard and he was fending for his kids. Do you know what I mean? And I wish now that I had time. In fact, you asked if I had any regrets. I haven't a regret there. Yeah, I would like to say, Dad, you know, I love you.